of the Inside Voice podcast. My name is Jess. So thankful that you're here tuning in for another episode. If you're brand new to the Inside Voice podcast, welcome in. I'm so excited that you're here. Let me introduce myself. I'm nobody. I'm somebody that has a passion for helping others achieve the things that they want in life, kind of just being like that best friend, that sister, if you will, just being like, go for it. You know, I feel like so often in our lives, we don't allow ourselves to do what we really want to do in life because we're worried about what people are going to think about us, or we just don't feel like we have that one person that's like gunning for us, that's like pushing and being like, let's go, like motivating and supporting and just encouraging. And so I just want to encourage you in whatever it is that you're chasing in life, whatever your dream is, whatever your goal is. I just want you to do it. I want you to give it everything you've got, because at the end of the day, this is your life. And I want you to be happy. You deserve to be happy. You deserve to live a life that is so amazing, so abundant, so fulfilling. One that when you get to the end of it and you're rocking in your rocking chair at like 85 years old, you're like, I lived a life. I did the things. I tried this. Maybe this didn't work out. Maybe that didn't work out. But you know what? I gave it a shot. And that's important. So whatever it is that you're chasing, don't give up. Go for it. We are in a series right now called Begin Again. Let me catch you up. I'm beginning again with this podcast. I put this down. Actually, I put this on the shelf thinking that I was never going to do it again. I did a first season. Gosh, I actually just looked the other day. I think I did about 150 episodes. Did it for a couple of years. Loved it. Enjoyed it. Felt like a total imposter the entire time, and then said goodbye. Just ghosted everybody. So here we are beginning again. And I wanted to start with a Begin Again series, not just because that's what I'm doing, but also because I feel like so many other people could benefit from this. Just the encouragement, just the permission, just the, hey, go for it mentality that maybe we don't get in our lives. So if you've started something, you started a passion project and it didn't quite work out the way that you wanted, maybe you hit one too many speed bumps, or maybe you're like me and you just convinced yourself that whatever it is that you were working on was good as is and was a season in your life and you decided to move on from it. I want to encourage you that if you're getting back on the bike, do it. Like, don't allow yourself to be shamed into this mindset of being a failure. Maybe you did fail on that first round. It's okay. That happens. Sometimes we strike out, but that doesn't mean we're not going to come up to bat once again. So I want to encourage you to get going again with whatever it is that you're doing. So we're calling this the season 2 of the Inside Voice podcast, because here's a little spoiler for you. When you begin again, you can call it whatever you want. You can call it another season. You can call it a redo. You can call it a continuation after a much needed halftime. Whatever you want to call it, it's yours, okay? Give yourself permission to start again. Give yourself permission to let go of what was and to dive back in. So as we are moving through this Begin Again series, we looked at why we failed or why we stopped in the first place when we first attempted to do this. We looked at different roadblocks that could be coming our way. We also looked at a real opportunity to brainstorm and imagine and have fun just creating what this thing could be again. Maybe we took some elements of our first round and now we're adding it back in because we loved those aspects, or they were successful for us, or they worked in the past. And now we're moving into a new phase and we're dreaming big things again and we're adding new stuff. And, for me, I think about the Inside Voice podcast season 1, like there was a couple years in between when I put that down and now this season 2. And I've learned a lot, I've grown a lot, I've experienced a lot, not all of it great, but you know what? It makes you who you are. I'm using all of that as like intel. I'm using all of that as data to move forward. And I want to encourage you to do the same thing, because that's going to make you more successful. The best leaders, the best sports teams, they learn, they adapt, they grow. I think about professional teams or even any sports team. They learn from their last practice. They learn from their last game. They watch game film. They learn from other teams. They watch a lot of the sport. Like, they immerse themselves into the sport that they're playing, and that's how they get better. All that to say, we are starting our next episode of our Begin Again series. There's only two left. There's this one and then one more. This is all about strategy. This is all about doing the thing. A little bit of what we talked about last week is if you're wanting to do something, you have to do it. If you want to start a podcast, you have to do the podcast. If you want to write a book, you're going to have to put pen to paper. If you want to start a fitness program, you're going to have to move your body. If you want to start a new business, you're going to have to start the business. Sometimes we can daydream and brainstorm so much that we actually forget to get started. So I like the analogy of a road trip. You know, you may be in Florida and you want to get to Oregon. That's a bit of a trip, don't you think? You're going all the way across the country. And you can think about all the states you're going to see. You can think about all the places that you're going to go, the places that you're going to eat, where you're going to, stop to spend the night, some of the detours that you might take. But until you actually get in the car, start the engine, and put the car in drive, you are never going to make that road trip. You can't. You have to get on the road in order to do the road trip. And so I just want to encourage you as we get into the do it part of this series to just do it. So I'm not trying to steal that from Nike, but man, whoever came up with that, I hope they're still getting paid for it because that is genius. Do it. I think of, what was that series? There was a YouTube series, little videos that Shia LaBeouf had put together. Where he's in front of a green screen. He's got cut off sleeves, a ponytail, and he's don't let your dreams be dreams. Just do it, and he's making all these crazy hand motions and gestures and stuff like that. I mean, it's absolutely hilarious. And it's something that my husband and I quote to each other all the time. It's an inside joke in our house, but it's so true. And to think of him, I don't know where he's at career-wise now, personally now, but I will say that he did the thing. You know what I mean? He didn't allow his dreams just to be dreams. And so I want to encourage you to do the same thing. We did the daydreaming. We did the brainstorming. We had the fun part. We learned how to date our dreams and date our goals and really fantasize about what things can look like. And now it's time to put that into action. Otherwise, you never actually get what you want. You never actually have the thing. So I want to encourage you to just do it. That starts with making a plan. I know it's not the sexy part of this entire thing. You want to be the successful one. You already want to be at the point where you're doing a book signing and you're signing your book, or you're holding up your trophy, or you've accomplished the thing. We all want to be there. But we have to get started somewhere. And a solid game plan is going to make sure that you can continue and actually accomplish what you've set out to do. That doesn't mean that the plan you start off with is going to be the plan that you finish with. It doesn't even mean that that's going to be the plan that you're doing next week. But you have to start somewhere. You have to have a roadmap. You have to say, well, if I'm going from Florida to Oregon, I'm at least going to have to get through Florida. I got to get out of my driveway, get on the interstate, and get out of this state, because if you just continue to drive around in Florida, well, you're never going to make it to Oregon. So make a plan. Oftentimes, I feel like this is the toughest part. Starting anything is tough. And we talked about that, what was it, episode 2 or 3, when it came to opposition. We talked about the laws of motion from Sir Isaac Newton. We got super nerdy. We put our nerdy glasses on. But we talked about how there's so many forces that are acting against what you're trying to do, that are acting against this ball that you're trying to get rolling. You know what I mean? But once you get going, the momentum can carry you through. So, how do you make a plan? I know that a lot of people are going to tell you well, just sit down with a piece of paper and map it out. Or one that I actually like, now that we've daydreamed and figured out exactly what we want this thing to look like, we can reverse engineer it, and work our way backwards. But I'm telling you, sometimes that can feel overwhelming. That can be okay, I know this is where I want to go, and there's certain things that maybe I should do to get there, but I don't even know where to start with those things. And so I want to encourage you to get creative and use your resources. Even with this podcast, I remember when I first started it, I knew like, okay, my strengths is that I've been doing I've been doing broadcast for years. I've been doing broadcast since I was a teenager. I knew I had over a decade, 15 years of experience under my belt putting audio into an audio file, editing it, and making it sound good. I knew that I had that. I had the equipment for it too. But what I didn't know was, how do I take that and make it so people like you could listen to it? And how do I do that in a way where everybody can listen, no matter what platform they're using, whether it's Spotify or Apple Podcast or YouTube or whatever. I definitely didn't want to be sitting there trying to upload audio to multiple sources and basically wasting my time. I knew somebody who was doing a podcast, and so I just reached out to them and I was like, how do I do this? I'm thinking about starting a podcast. I didn't want to tell them that I was going to do a podcast because, when you're thinking about it, there's no pressure, right? The lies that we tell ourselves. So I reached out and just said, I don't know how to take the podcast that I record and put it out to the world. And they introduced me to, Libsyn. It's short for Liberated Syndication. They're like, that's what I use. Super simple. Put your audio in, click with the different things that you want it to go out to. Bada bing, bada boom, go. There was one little extra thing that I needed to do for Apple Podcasts. I had to submit and then wait for them to approve, all that jazz. But reaching out to somebody was so incredibly valuable, somebody that had experience in it. This can be intimidating because you're reaching out to somebody who's already doing the thing that you want to do. And you might be thinking in your head, well, they don't have time for me. They're going to think I'm so stupid for wanting to do this. They're going to judge me, blah, blah, blah. I'm not them, blah, blah, blah. All the lies that we tell ourselves. But reaching out to somebody can be really beneficial because they'll tell you what worked and what didn't work. And that's going to save you the trial and error process with some things. Now, maybe what you're doing is something that is so completely different. You've never done it. Nobody in your family's ever done it. You have no friends or colleagues that have ever done it. It's so brand new, like you're blazing a trail here. First of all, bravo to you. Second of all, this is where the internet comes in handy. Even setting up to do this podcast, knowing the audio side of it, hadn't done a lot of visual stuff. Not since college, man. I did telecom, film and digital media. I did that kind of stuff, but it had been a long time. And let me tell you, tech has changed. It's one of the fastest changing things out there. But the internet has also changed and become such a valuable resource. Now, granted, you can put stuff online and put things into Google and who knows what's going to come up, but use your own judgment, use your discernment of what you think is going to work and what's not, what's real, what's truthful, what's not. But putting things into Google, asking questions on Google, and dare I say, using things like AI and ChatGPT can really, really help you. I have a friend who, actually I think it's a colleague, I think it's somebody that I work with. She literally puts into ChatGPT every single week what she wants to eat for the week. She will put in, I need 5 dinners for 3 people. I want them to incorporate chicken one night, beef one night, a veggie here, a veggie there. She gets that specific in ChatGPT and it will make her a store list. A store list with all the ingredients, everything, even throw out some recipe ideas. What? I'm telling you, if you get very specific on ChatGPT and you put in everything that you want in your game plan, I'm trying to do this, I want to, let's say you're doing a fitness program, you want to do strength training, and you want to do some cardio or something like that. What's a good balance of upper body, lower body strength training, cardio, on some days? It will put together fitness workout plans for you. And then all you have to do is implement them. How crazy awesome is that? Now, I know some people have their own reservations about ChatGPT, and maybe one day it will give you something that will be your demise. This is what I think about AI. I always think okay, one of these days it's going to give you advice that will ultimately just take you out, because I still believe in iRobot and I still believe that that is going to be our future one day. But use that resource and I think you're going to feel a lot better putting together a game plan. Then we get into the commitment side of it. This is where you're going to have to be incredibly honest with yourself. Going back to the start of our Begin Again series, what worked? what didn't work the first time around. Go back to that list of why you put the thing down in the first place, and then figure out a way to work around that to keep the commitment, okay? You have got to get serious about this. When we talked about brainstorming and we talked about, daydreaming about what you want this thing to look like, we talked about it in a way of like you're dating your dream, like you're getting to know your dream and then you're proposing to your dream. We talked about how I bought this chair and this was like my engagement ring of like, okay. And then you had to commit. You had to actually get into the marriage or into the long-term relationship. You're gonna have to figure out a way to commit to what you want to do and understand that not every day is going to become drops and roses. There's going to be difficulties. There's going to be pushback. There's going to be days that you just don't want to do the thing. This is why you have to be so honest with yourself in where you can be successful and what motivates you, and where you struggle and where you find distraction way too easily. This may mean that you get off of Netflix a little more often. Maybe you don't scroll on your phone too much. Like, you have to figure out what are going to be your non-negotiables when it comes to putting this plan in action. Again, you can probably use ChatGPT to help you kind of refine a little bit, as far as like scheduling goes, or as far as like resources that are available to you. But ultimately, like eliminating those distractions, eliminating those excuses, that's going to be so beneficial to you. And you have got to stick to it. Okay. I know it's so easy to make up excuses. I know it's so easy to let ourselves off the hook and say, just heard a very loud noise outside my window. Hopefully that's not coming up on my audio. So one of my neighbors is like putting in rocks on their foundation, because where I live, it's extremely hot, and, or not their foundation, like their flower beds. Nothing grows in the summer here. Everything dies. And so a lot of people are like eliminating their things. See, they're pivoting. Right? They had the plan of having this wonderful, amazing flower bed with all these beautiful shrubs and flowers and stuff like that. And it all fell apart. So now they're pivoting into something else that they like. But going back to commitment, we'll get to refining in just a second. But going back to commitment, you have to be honest with yourself. You have to hold yourself accountable as well. Sometimes that means bringing another person into the picture that's going to help you be accountable. When I started my fitness journey back in 2020, there weren't too many distractions because it was 2020, right? Like, what else were we doing besides staying at home? But also I had a friend that, I would check in with regularly, and actually we started checking in with each other every single day, sharing, the workouts that we were doing, even doing the same workouts and talking about them. But it was just like that accountability that was really, really helpful. So understanding what's going to help you stay accountable, what's going to help you stay honest as you're pursuing this new thing, because again, this is not going to be a walk in the park. You're doing something new. Change is hard, but let me tell you, the change is worth it. And whatever it is you are chasing, obviously you're chasing it for a reason. You have the passion for it. You have the heart for it. You have the drive for it. So don't let it slip away because of something because you let yourself off the hook. You know what I mean? Because you allowed yourself to take a day off when maybe you didn't need to take a day off, or you allowed yourself to compromise here and it wasn't a big deal then, but man, it turned into a slippery slope, and now we're quitting again. Now we're failing again. Now we're trying to figure out how to begin again. So we have set up the plan. We have made the commitment. We have set up some ways for us to be held accountable so that we stick to it. The last thing that I want to talk about is refining. I think oftentimes, and we talked a little bit about this earlier in the series, when it comes to roadblocks and setbacks, it's like we get going on the thing, we get going on our road trip. And let's say there's a detour in the road, or let's say you've got a kid in the back and you've been on the road for maybe 30 minutes and they're already asking to go to the bathroom. You don't turn around and go home, right? You take the detour, you make the pit stop, but you still continue on the road, right? Going back to committing, like just understanding the plan and understanding like there's not always going to be like fun parts of the road trip is so incredibly important, but also understanding that there's going to be those setbacks, that there's going to be issues. You might be delayed in certain areas. Maybe you do have to take a different route. Like, refining is so incredibly important because it keeps you from quitting. And that's what happens. We hit that first roadblock. We hit that first little setback. We second guess ourselves and question if we should even be doing this. We listen a little too much to Susie Q's opinion on social media, and suddenly we're like, maybe I don't want to do this road trip. Maybe I don't want to drive from Florida all the way to Oregon, you know? So we do turn the car around. Or we think, you know what? I made it. What's the next state after Florida? Would that be, Florida, Georgia line. See, I'm a country music broadcaster. We make it into Georgia, and then we're like, Georgia's fine. It's fine. That wasn't our goal, though, you know? Like, don't give up. Keep moving forward and refining and going back to the drawing board and pivoting and thinking of other new ways to approach what you're doing. That's going to help you stick to the plan. Now, I know what your question probably is right now. That's all fine and great, Jess, but how do I refine? My plan didn't work. Like, if I go back to the plan, like, I'm just going to hit the same roadblock again. Well, not if you use those resources again to refine and alter and pivot with your plan. So you can go back to another person that you can reach out to. You can go back to a book, maybe. Gosh, there's so many great books out there for literally anything that you want to do in your life, you know, and multiple books on different subjects. So maybe you find a different book to read, or maybe you find a different social media account that just gives you the motivation that you need every single day to get out and do what you want to do. Maybe you go back to ChatGPT and refine or put more details into that initial question. Maybe you were too broad at first, you know, maybe you want to get a little more specific. And we had talked about putting in a fitness routine and asking for strength training and cardio. But maybe you're like, hey, I need a 30-minute workout that I can do in the morning with a couple of dumbbells. That's so much more specific than, hey, I want to do upper body and lower body. And then you're finding, I can't do these workouts because I don't have time, or I can't go to the gym, or my gym doesn't have that equipment, or I don't have that equipment at home, or whatever it is. But if you get super, super specific about it, of like, hey, I'm a female, I'm this age, I'm this weight, I'm trying to lose weight. And I have, you know, a couple of dumbbells and a jump rope and, you know, a treadmill. Make a workout plan for me. Suddenly we're refining that search. We're refining the plan. We're making changes to it so we can be successful. That's the cheat code, you know? Again, sometimes, what do they say the definition of insanity is? Like, you do the same thing over and over and over again and expect a different result. How often do we do that with our own dreams? How often do we do that with the things that we set out to accomplish? And, you know, we start again and we start again and we start again with no new data put in, no new ingenuity or inspiration put into it, no new guidance put into it. And we end up failing again and again and again. So when it comes to strategy, when it comes to doing the thing, which is what this episode is all about, when it comes to actually implementing a plan, you got to start off with a solid plan. You have to make a commitment to it and understand that there's going to be issues along the way, but being honest with yourself about whether those issues are something that's going to be completely derailing you or something that's just, you know, you're doing to yourself. I'm telling you, there's so many times. So we talk about, let's talk about the fitness thing, because that is where I have grown the most in the last couple of years. You know, it's not easy to start that. Let's just be honest. You know, you go from not working out ever to now wanting to work out 5 days a week. Like, that doesn't just happen overnight. And getting to certain fitness level goals and stuff, definitely not easy. And there have been so many times that I have told myself, just show up. That's all you have to do. You may not be able to give 100% that day, but I will tell you right now, if you only have 80% to give and you give 80%, you gave 100% that day. I heard that somewhere in a podcast. It's probably been regurgitated and spit up 1,000 times by so many different people. But like, think about that. We think just because we're not showing up with 100% that we're not giving 100%. You know what I mean? But if we're giving all that we have to give in that moment, that's our 100% that day. And that is so much better than zero. So show up with what you have. Show up with what you can. Some days are going to be huge wins, and other days you're just doing the best that you can, but don't give up. You have to continue to move forward. It's like being on that road trip. Sometimes you're driving 80 miles an hour on the highway and there's not a care in the world. There's no traffic whatsoever. Like, you are cruising. And other times you're stuck in traffic, you're stuck in construction, but you're still moving forward. So making that commitment, sticking with that commitment is important. And then also making those pivots. I remember my husband and I took a very big trip earlier this year to California, and we were going across the country, and we had to make pivots along the way based on road conditions, based on weather conditions. Like, we were going across the country. I'm telling you, when you cross multiple states in this nation, with the way that you can be in a desert, you can be in the mountains, and you can be on a beach within the same week period of a road trip, it's insane. So we would have to make pivots based on, like I said, traffic conditions, weather conditions. Also, we were towing a trailer. There were some roads that, we could have taken that detour if we had just like a normal car, but we had our truck and our trailer, and it's like, we can't take that road. The road's not big enough. It's very narrow. It's got a lot of turns and stuff like that. I remember we were going through some mountains in New Mexico in Cloudcroft. It gets mountainy through that area. And at one point I'm looking on the maps and I'm like, I hope this turn does not look as sharp as it does on my phone, because it was like a U-turn almost. It wasn't bad, but on the maps I was like, oh no, I'm the navigator and I'm failing. But yeah, you're gonna have to make those pivots. You're gonna have to refine, and if that means going back and maybe not going completely back to the drawing board, but at least going back to that initial plan you had and just getting a little more specific and getting a little more deep with it. That's so helpful in moving forward with whatever you're chasing. So next week, we're going to be talking about everybody's favorite thing, motivation and discipline, because ultimately motivation's great. And when you've got it, you ride that high. But more often than not, if you're pursuing anything in life, if you are working towards anything in life and it's difficult and it's challenging and it's new and it's different, discipline is what you're going to rely on more than anything else. So we'll talk about discipline. That'll be our last bit of the Begin Again series before we move on and get into some fun stuff. But I want to take a moment and just say thank you for being here. This is my Begin Again story, and it's fun to have you be a part of it. But also, I want to say congratulations to you, because you have made a commitment to begin again, which is not easy. And I don't want you to get wrapped up in what maybe happened before and get wrapped up in, oh my gosh, I'm not where I want to be, and I feel like I should already be there, even though I'm not. I feel like I've already done this before, and now I should be further, and blah, 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 blah. Let all of that go. Let this be its own new thing, coming at it with fresh vision, coming at it with the information that you learned from the first time that you did it, and let this be just an exciting thing for you, okay? So next week, motivation and discipline. Hope to see you here in our Begin Again series. Make it a good week for yourself. Get that plan in action. Utilize the resources that you have. Make the commitment. And by golly, do not be afraid to pivot. I'll see you next week.